Warning! The following podcast may contain language and subject matter not suitable for all ages or everyone. If you don't like what you're listening to, please press stop. You're tuned into kpod. It's Life in Korea with your hosts, Scott, Adam, and Phil.
It's kpod, Life in Korea. I'm one of the hosts, Scott. Sitting across from me is the other two hosts. We've got Phil. Phil, how's things?
I'm well.
And Adam, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
So in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about working here in Korea, finding a job. So we're going to get into reasons why people may come to Korea or decide to come to Korea. We're going to talk about why Korea is maybe better than other countries if you're looking to teach English. And do you qualify to be a teacher here in South Korea? We'll also later on talk about maybe some of the best places to find a job if you're looking for one, what you need to know and all that kind of stuff, visa stuff.
Visa.
And also possibly the what area in Korea would be best for you, like what city or depending on what you're looking for. So that's going to be this episode for the kpod. All right, so let's start off with reasons why people might decide to come to Korea. I mean, we can start off with maybe why each of us decided to come to Korea, if you remember. So let's start with Phil.
Why I chose to come to Korea or why?
Yeah.
Well, I am.
Why did you decide? I think we mentioned it a little bit before, but
our first podcast, I mentioned that I am Korean descendant. My mother is Korean, and I was really interested. I spent the majority of my life in the U.S., so I really wanted to travel somewhere and find a new culture. And I feel like Korea was the perfect opportunity for me to do all of these things. Get in touch with my family. Learn about the culture and the life in Korea. And it was just a great opportunity to come and teach and, learn some things along the way. I feel like Korea is a good place for most people if they're interested in traveling around Asia. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a good spot. It's a good landing spot because you have Vietnam and Japan and all these other countries. I'm sure Adam would agree with those.
Yeah, definitely.
And Adam, why did you first come here?
Well, the reason I came was my brother lived here actually a long time ago, and he had a great time. And he basically told me you get a decent salary, the ability to save money is really easy, and as Phil mentioned, the ability to travel around Asia affordably and more conveniently. It's really, really close to Japan, which I love to travel to, like, quite often. You can also go to Hong Kong or Vietnam, Thailand, places like that.
Adam, you mentioned your brother was here. How long was he in Korea?
He was in Jinhae for 1 year and Changwon for 2 years, I think. Yeah. And another thing is that it's pretty safe here. I mean, aside from the threat of North Korea, it's pretty safe to, walk around at night. There's not much.
Yeah, you can walk down any alley without any worries.
I wouldn't say any alley, but I mean, most alleys are pretty much pretty safe.
I feel 100% comfortable living here.
Yeah.
Security wise.
I'm the same way. And for me, I really don't remember why I originally was going to come here. I think it was just I wanted something different. I just finished my second university degree. I think I spent 7-8 years in university. Not because of.
So you have 2 degrees?
Not because of failing. Just.
What are your degrees?
Environmental engineering and computer engineering, software development.
Cool.
Interesting fun fact.
After my first degree, I worked in the environmental field for about a year, probably not even a year, and just didn't enjoy it.
Just realize that no matter what you do, people are going to destroy the world.
Yeah, and so much, and so was I. But and then did computers, and with that I can live anywhere though. So I didn't want to travel. So I do remember originally I was going to go to China, and I had a job all lined up, and things fell through at the last minute. And for whatever reasons, I decided to pick Korea. A job that I found, which was just more of I was ready to go, and it didn't work out, so I wanted to go quick. So I picked somewhere in Korea, and it was Masan, and it was just simple back then, to get the job and all that kind of thing. So I ended up coming here and enjoying my first year here, even though things were a lot different and stuff like that. But so, yeah, that's the reasons why I came. Now, for a lot of people out there now, things are a lot different and people come here for different reasons. What are some of the reasons you think people might decide to leave their home countries and come over here? I do think a lot of people come or like planning to stay for a year type thing. I guess it's mostly saving money and
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity to save money when you have a job that provides you housing and really, really decent starting salary. If you can find these jobs, then you can really, especially those people who have student debts.
Exactly.
A lot of people. Sorry.
No, go on.
A lot of people have destroyed their student debt, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people I know came to Korea. It is kind of a hassle, especially with the exchange rate and sending back, from one bank to another. You can lose out a lot of money. So I guess the best advice is to.
I was concerned with that my first year here. Yeah. So I got paid equivalent to X amount of dollars in Canadian.
Yeah.
So my base salary was, I don't know what it was. I think a little less than $2,000 Canadian a month.
Yeah.
But I always got paid the equivalent to that in Korean money.
Mm. But
but I ended up losing a lot of money because back then, during that time, the exchange rate was, more in favor. If I got paid, say, 2 million won flat, I would have been making like closer to 3 million with the exchange.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Exchange rate's pretty low nowadays, though, for Canadian dollar. Like really? I send about $1,000 home, or 1 million won per month. Automatically gets transferred. I got this thing set up with my bank, and I usually end up making like 130 extra bucks.
Yeah,
really.
It's still higher, which is good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, a lot of people check the exchange rate quite frequently, especially when right after you leave or you finish your contract, you get a bonus pay for an extra month. So that could be really helpful if you're trying to save or pay off a student loan, or if you just want to travel for a couple months. It's really nice to save up when all of your bills are paid. I think I only pay for electric and gas in my building.
Yeah, that's what I pay for as well.
And then we have to pay like a building fee for services like recycling and trash. I think it's like $50. What about
cable, internet?
We're provided cable and internet in my building, so cable, internet, and water is provided. We just have to pay for electricity and heat.
I have to pay internet. I have to pay, I think it's like $30 a month or something. And the internet here is the fastest in the world. So it's it's really cheap and good. So
that was one of the reasons too I picked in coming here. Just because of,
yeah. I mean, it's a good reason, right?
Being in computers or just finishing up in that. I was really into web design and stuff like that. So when China fell through, I decided, hey, well, Korea's got internet.
Yeah.
I mean, Scott, did you know much about Korea before you came here? Or
no.
You just kind of like, it's a country.
I saw Remo Wiliams when I was young.
Remo Wiliams. Oh, that's an old ass movie.
It's an old movie, but I loved it as a kid. And looking back at it, I watched it not too long ago, but fairly recently. And I didn't even realize that the guy playing the Korean guy was not Korean. It was a white guy.
Yeah. That's the same thing in
talking about whitewashing these days.
Yeah. Pitcher Stevens in Short Circuit too. He's not Indian.
But, I didn't. I loved Remo Wiliams. Do you know what Remo Wiliams?
I have no idea what you guys are talking about, actually. What is it?
It was,
Isn't he like a some kind of mercenary or soldier, and then I haven't seen him in years. He's like a robot or something?
It's a secret, agency type thing. I'll bring it up. I'm not going to play it on the...
What was his name? The guy... Is he Tremors?
Yeah.
Same guy from Tremors?
Kevin Bacon?
No.
Oh, wait. I think I may have seen this before.
This is like one of my brother's favorite movies. Why'd you come to Korea? Fucking Remo Wiliams?
Yeah, I've seen this.
This man. Don't take any chances. This guy's a killer. For a special mission. But first, he's got
he's
to
the old guy
pass
in Trimmers.
one
Kevin Bacon.
test.
Speak English. Does your nightingale sing? Hold it!
I'm glad we're doing this.
I had no idea that guy wasn't Korean, though, when I was a kid.
However, I think I can do something with him.
Goodbye, Mr. Crow.
Who's he?
No more Boy Scouts. Take a look at this. High altitude
Wilford Brimley.
probe.
He has diabetes.
There is none. Doesn't exist.
Isn't that the Quaker Oats guy?
Yeah, Wilford Brimley.
He won't be with us for much longer.
Unless someone
Relax.
can stop them.
Concentrate! This is not time for prayer!
Remo Wiliams. The adventure begins.
What are you watching? Your country's one contribution to the art. It's a soap opera. It is apparent to me that
Is this getting into the podcast?
behind your head.
I don't know.
Are we doing old trailer reviews?
He'll learn to move faster than a bullet.
Excellent. Not bad.
Hear the heartbeat of an enemy.
Trying to need to borrow him for a while.
Remo Williams looks like that dude who's in Wolf of Wall Street.
Which dude?
You know the one who he lifts weights in his backyard
Right now to get an IU
and he ends up dying like early.
Hey, spoilers, man.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I've seen it. Some people might have.
Oh, it's been like fucking 3 years.
His head blown off. Perfect accident.
And you're telling me he's going to get away with it, huh? We can't stop him.
You can stop him, son. It'll be my pleasure.
Statue of Liberty.
Trade Center.
I was amazed by this when I was a
Destroyer
kid.
novel series that sold over 30 million copies.
So it's a movie.
America's favorite tough guy
Okay, not a
comes
TV
to the
series.
screen in a movie big enough to hold him.
There you go.
So the dude, the Asian guy's Korean? Or he's meant to be Korean?
He's Korean. He's taught these Korean ways. But it was actually a white guy playing him.
Koreans weren't invented in 1985.
I remember seeing the Korean teacher guy is in a car accident and the car is just demolished. Like it rolls down a hill. And
I must teach them English.
the door kind of pops open, or what's left of the door, and he's holding like I think it's the window thing that you turn down to turn down the window. He's holding that.
The window handle.
Yeah, the window handle. And he looks at it and says, "Made in Korea." And it's the only thing that kind of survived the car accident.
Oh.
That's why it survived, was because it was made in Korea.
The things we remember.
The rest of the car was destroyed, but because that one piece was made in Korea.
That's why you came to Korea. I'm sold. Oh, that's awesome.
So, for me, yeah, Remo Wiliams is the reason I came to Korea. But for most people these days...
Most people don't make their decisions on a 1985 movie.
These days, I have no idea what it's like back home because I've been over here for so long. But I'm guessing maybe it's tough getting jobs in general. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Well, it all depends. I mean, do you want to work for a private academy or do you want to work for a public school? Do you want to work for a university? Okay. I think university jobs are pretty hard to get.
But if people, like you're talking about student debt and all that kind of thing, you know, why are people going to university and not being able to, is it that they can't get a job? They just don't want to jump into that area right away?
Yeah, it could be. Or maybe they just want a year of living abroad and seeing what it's like. Maybe like
So travel is probably the biggest reason.
I think traveling, yeah.
And like Phil was saying, Korea is a really good place it's easy to jump around. Like you can go to Thailand, you can go to China, you can go to Japan, you know, a lot of different places. There's a lot of, not just Asia, but you're kind of right in the middle of an area that's just easy to jump on a plane and go to a lot of different areas. without that 12, 13-hour plane ride that you would have to take back from USA or Canada.
Yeah, I quite enjoy the plane rides. I just get really drunk and pass out. It's like time traveling. You don't even notice.
Yeah.
Especially some international flights, they provide free alcohol.
Yeah, that can be dangerous.
For some.
It's weird flying back to, if I fly to Toronto, let's say in Canada, it's weird. I literally arrived the same time I left.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to happen for me when I go home this summer.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird. It kind of sucks coming back because you lose a day.
Right.
But,
and a lot of people don't realize that if they're just doing a trip, like a vacation, and they tell their employer, like, oh, I'll be back this day, but it's actually the date you're arriving is not the same date here.
Right.
Like the itinerary sometimes tells you when you're leaving one country and then you're coming back, and that's the local time. So you have to, prepare for something like that because you do lose the day.
And how much do you guys know about other countries in terms of, let's say, just teaching English? Like, do you know anything regarding Korea being one of the better countries to be a teacher in? I've heard Thailand, Japan, and China. And I've heard Korea's a lot better than all three of those.
Vietnam's getting a good reputation these days. I was there last summer and I met a bunch of people who teach there, and they seem quite content with their jobs, and they make, similar salary that, you can find here.
But lower cost of living.
Lower cost of living. You basically have to buy a motorbike because everyone has a motorbike in Vietnam. But I mean, Vietnam was cool. I've actually considered going there myself if I decide to
make the move.
Yeah, throw in my towel with Korea.
And as far as Japan, I've heard it's really big class sizes and it can be expensive with certain things.
Yeah.
Thailand doesn't make as much money type thing. It's probably less than half of what you make here.
Yeah.
In terms of a monthly salary, even though if you enjoy that lifestyle, it could be worth it.
I was in Japan recently and I was hanging out with my Polish friend who's a student there. She studies Japanese and other things. And we actually ran into some teachers and we started talking with them. We were having beers together in the park, and they were saying that the best way to get a job in Japan is through like networking. So if you know people, it's really beneficial to you. But like to go through recruitment agencies or something like that, you might not find a decent position. So
I have a friend that used to work here, and he works in Japan now, and he said that he had to find his own apartment, which was kind of tricky for him because obviously he doesn't know the area, he didn't know who to contact.
Here in Korea?
No, in Japan. In Japan, yeah. So I think that's one of the bigger reasons why. And
housing is really small there.
Right.
It can be here too, but nothing like Japan.
Most places are furnished in Korea.
Every hotel I've stayed in, even nice ones, if I put my arms out, like in a cross position, I can touch both walls.
Yeah. I think most schools here, they try to make life comfortable for their teachers. Like, if you're at a public school, you're definitely going to be assigned a co-teacher, and she or he will definitely help you out with things like that.
You guys have co-teachers, like in class?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
You have okay.
Yeah, we have to have a co-teacher with us.
Do you like that, or would you prefer with or without?
I could go either way, but because
you do,
because I do most of the lesson preparation, things like that, and it's basically like they're just there attending,
So that they're not actually like teaching, but they're just there.
No, sometimes if they want to, I'll be like, yeah, sure, let's teach it together. But I think for the most part, if there is any complications with translations or something, they're happy to step in. But
you guys allowed to use like phones in the class?
You mean the students?
You, like as a teacher?
No, I think that's generally frowned upon.
Yeah. We're allowed to use for like translation purposes, but other than that, we're not supposed to have phones or anything.
Like Google Translate and stuff.
Right. Or I use a lot of pictures, to really this is what this is, and
Google Translate's pretty freaky now. That live translate.
Yeah. They're gonna engineer us out of a job.
I've also heard China, a lot of the private schools anywhere run by mafia.
Oh, really?
I've heard some sketchy things from people that have worked there. Obviously, not every school is going to.
Any interesting stories that you can think of, or
not off the top of my head, or that I want to say.
right?
I think in general, South Korea has always been pretty,
It's quite competitive, because they really
competitive,
have.
and
They have
most
really
people
high
have had
education
good experiences,
Right.
with regarding working here for a year. It all changed. I mean, I went through when I first came here. You could pretty much just be anybody and get a job to teach English. You didn't need a university degree. You didn't need a lot of things. And that changed after, a couple of years after being here.
Yeah.
You had to have a university degree. And I knew people that did not have that.
They just get a fake one, or
Yeah. So their Hogwans actually bought them fake degrees
Really?
at that time.
Wow. Yeah, I think
But now that's pretty hard to do too.
I think nowadays some Korean teachers, they kind of look down on guest English teachers because they think that we lack the proper qualifications to teach. And I'd say if you took like a TEFL or CELTA course, I think that would give you a pretty good idea of what to expect and like how to conduct a class in an effective way. But I mean, also experience. I mean, if you come out here without having teaching anything, which I did 10 years ago, it takes a few months and then you start to get used to it.
So let's get into what qualifies you to be an English teacher here in South Korea. I think it's 6 countries that they hire people from. There's America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand,
The UK,
South Africa, UK. That's it?
Ireland.
I don't think Ireland is
really?
allowed.
Huh?
No, I think they are.
But I think they might be tied into...
United Kingdom, but I mean, there is.
No, they're separate from the UK.
Yeah.
Do you know any Irish teacher?
Yeah, I knew some. Bridget, who was here a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Austin
was an English teacher. Yeah. Before he started his
That was
business.
a long time ago, though, like before
Yeah.
certain things were allowed. But I think basically, from what I recall, it's 6 countries. Whether Ireland fits in, same as Scotland. I've met people from Scotland too.
Yeah.
So that might be all tied into, but I think Ireland, there's something, whether it's either North Ireland or South Ireland.
Well, I know people from South Africa, they have to prove that they were taught in middle and high school at an English school and not taught in Afrikaans or Afrikaans. And I was actually curious about Quebec. I mean, would you have to prove that you went to an English school if you're from Montreal or something like that?
Possibly.
Yeah.
So have you guys noticed anything over the years? Has things changed in regards to, people that qualify or can be hired?
I think it's becoming more competitive because a lot of, at least since I've been here, a lot of schools will, after someone's finished their contract, they just won't rehire someone because a lot of jobs have been cut. So some of the more desirable jobs are disappearing, and then everyone's pretty much forced to work at academies, like privately owned hogwans.
Mm-hmm.
So,
do you find schools are more looking for people with degrees in certain areas now?
Well, I mean, my job's hiring right now, and we look for someone who's at least taught in Korea for 2 years, someone who's already in Korea, and
that's more of a money issue, though.
Yeah,
I think a lot of schools look for people already here because.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that through the EPIC program, the English program in Korea, this is if you want to work for a public school, I'm pretty sure that you need a TESOL or a TEFL or something equivalent.
Is there a minimum hours? Like, because they have 50,
it's got to be like something like 120 hours in class. So it can't be one of those online TEFL courses that you see all the time. Like those things are not. I mean, yeah, sure, they probably have some value in them, but on paper, if you don't have that 120 hours in class, they're not gonna see it as the same.
And then universities, it's usually comes down to knowing people.
Yeah. Yeah,
I heard it's changing. I heard at some point, maybe it is now, that you have to have a master's degree.
I think so, yeah. I think that's preferable for them. But I know some guys who just, based on their experience here, they landed a university job. So
experience, that's, that comes with almost any job, though, really.
Yeah.
Whether it's teaching. I mean, I don't have any TOEFL or TESOL or anything like that. But I've never had a problem finding job in Korea. You know, if I say I've been here, 16 years teaching English.
Yeah. They know, you know what you're doing, right? Like,
Experience is the best teacher.
for sure.
For sure.
It's a catch-22, though.
Yeah.
Getting that experience. So people are considering about coming to Korea and looking for a job. Do you have any advice on, you know, where to look or places to find jobs and
I'd
the
say,
best way of going
yeah.
through it type thing?
I'd say, I mean, if you have friends who've taught here before, talk to them and see if they had a good experience. They might be able to help you out with, you know, some of their connections. There's also Dave's ESL Cafe, which is probably one of the most famous websites to find jobs in Korea and other countries as well. And there's also...
I've actually found a couple jobs off that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I found one years ago. And there's also recruitment agencies. One that I landed my current job in was with Korean Horizons, and you can find them probably on Facebook or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
He's an old friend of mine.
Yeah, he's a good guy, right?
Ali?
Yeah, really nice guy.
English guy?
Yeah, he's cool. He found me a really good position, and I'm very grateful.
I used to hang with him in the early 2000s.
Does he still live in Changwon?
I don't think so,
No.
but his company is...
Yeah, I know his office is
still-
here, I think, yeah. Yeah, really solid guy. And I mean, places like that, they tell you all the documents you need to prepare and all the things and, you know, what to say in the interview, what not to say, things like that. So,
Yeah, Dave's ESL Cafe is quite old, and I'm amazed, I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah.
I'm amazed nothing has changed on that, but he's just racking in money
yeah.
from job postings. But as far as recruiters go, what's your guys' opinions on recruiters? Do you think that's a good way to go your first time around the block, or?
It can be. I mean, I think the best.
Obviously, there can be some bad recruiters.
Yeah.
But let's just say the typical recruiter out there is a decent person.
Yeah, I mean,
Things done.
it's definitely more convenient for the job applicant because they tell you exactly what you need to do. But again, I mean, I've always said this time and again, like if you really want to know what's going on at the school and how they treat their employees, you got to talk to people who work there.
Right.
And they'll tell you what's up.
I've never actually used a recruiter.
Oh, no?
The first time I came here.
Yeah.
I found a job on my own. And
Well, you have family here too, though. You have that uncle that you never see.
oh, thanks for bringing that up. I'm going to go see him this summer.
This summer.
Yeah, I'll take pictures and show you.
All right.
Yeah. I think the best way to the best way to find a job is social media has been pretty useful. A lot of people who are leaving Korea sometimes will post on behalf of their employer on a lot of these, like with Changwon or expats and what other ones? Yeah.
Changwon expats.
Yeah,
Oh,
Changwon
sorry.
expats. And there's a lot of them. There's like,
Trying to give you promotion.
there's like English teachers in Korea and things like that as well.
There's
See, that's the biggest thing for me. The biggest difference with, just social media, but in particular, like Facebook, places like that, you can find all kinds of information that you need to know.
stuff that you probably wouldn't
Compared
hear.
to when I, first came here. I mean, Facebook didn't exist when I first came here.
Yeah.
Skype didn't exist. I mean, I remember back in the day, I had to go somewhere in Hapsondong and Masan to buy a phone card. And I would literally talk to people back home once a year.
Yeah.
And now, how often do you talk to people back home? How the tables have turned.
I'd say 5 times a week.
Really?
I talked to my brother this morning.
But because of things like Skype and Facebook, but Facebook, if you're looking at a job, you see the city name, odds are there are multiple groups based on that city.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's Daegu, Changwon, Masan, whatever. And you can find out the information you need to know. Just ask. Simple.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say,
I don't know every Facebook group, but
On
the Changwon area, I mean, if you post up a question, you're probably going to get a few replies and
Yeah, and it's good to inquire about things like overtime pay, holidays, because as we know, some private academies, they deny their employees the right to take off public holidays, which is, illegal, and they get away with it. So make sure you don't get into that kind of place.
And if you can, if it's possible, talk to teachers that previously worked at the school.
Yeah.
Like if you're replacing somebody, and try to do it either via email or, I've seen people talk to new teachers potentially coming with the old teacher, but on the phone and with the boss over the shoulder type thing.
Yeah.
But do it in a more personal atmosphere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably email.
Email's the best bet, I think.
Or,
private messenger or something.
Or a messenger. There's all types of ways to get in contact with people these days.
Yeah.
But, definitely talk to people who've worked at the school.
Yeah. And other questions you can ask is like the classroom sizes, how many schools do you have to teach? Cause, a lot of these places you have to teach at multiple schools. And if that's the case, transportation, right? Like, are these schools accessible via bus routes, or are you going to have to get a scooter or a car or something like that?
Walk in the summer heat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the most important things for me. Class size.
Like the number of students, or how big the kids are. Teaching giants, or
no, the classroom size, like literally how
actual space.
Yeah.
No,
I'm joking. How many students are in the class?
Yeah. You know what, Scott?
But obviously, teaching in a closet would suck.
Yeah. Especially if it was a hot closet.
Yeah. But
it could get kind of weird though.
The number of students, how far do I live from the school? And the whole multiple school thing, I never do. So if they bring that up, it's just like, screw you.
Yeah. I have to do two. I think most public school teachers have to do at least two.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then I'm more concerned with where I live. So like the housing arrangement's a big thing for me.
Adam, you said you go to different schools. Have you ever gone to the wrong school once?
No. I have. Yeah, one time I hit the buzzer on the bus, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm not getting off here. This is Thursday."
Did you stay on the bus?
I stayed on the bus.
I would have felt so guilty. I would have got off the bus.
No, I was just kind of like, "Me and I'm sorry."
Yeah. And the number of classes a day is important, but it's usually, I think most schools, the max is always 8.
Yeah.
And then whatever you actually teach type thing.
Yeah. Make sure you read your contract and you're not getting, taken advantage of.
And with regards to your apartment, your accommodation that they provide with you, a lot of contracts will say, yeah, we'll provide you with a bed and a microwave and a refrigerator. But I've had friends who, they didn't have a bed for a year.
Contracts have changed in, say the last 15 years that I've seen.
Yeah.
In terms of, I know a lot of jobs now don't even pay for the return airfare.
Really?
Most jobs in the Changwon area only pay one way.
Yeah.
These days.
Also, I've heard that some Hagwon directors, they will get together and they'll share stories about how they got out of paying something,
My families come together.
I have a Korean friend who told me she worked at a Hagwon, and she said, yeah, like my director gets together with his friends over soju, and they share stories like, oh, just tell them you'll pay them later, like in a few months, and then never respond to them again. So you got to be very wary about that kind of thing.
I find these days though, my first 5 years here or so, there was always the stories of. And I actually know people that have had issues with getting paid every month.
Yeah.
But these days, that doesn't exist.
Okay. Yeah, I think the labor board is...
Maybe it does, but there's just too much... There's too much information out there.
Oh, yeah, and there's too much pressure from the labor board.
There's no way schools will continue to exist if they're not paying their teachers.
Oh, yeah. And
on a monthly basis.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a complaint from to the labor board about your school is every Hagwon director's nightmare, because that basically red flags them.
I was my first year working at a private academy, and they were taking money out for our pension fund, but not paying into the pension fund. They were just taking the money and keeping it to save money.
Yeah, that happens,
and that's also illegal.
It's deplorable. It's really, really bad.
That's your money. You're supposed to get that back, but they just withheld it.
Yeah. scumbags.
Yeah.
They're out there.
But I think most places are on the up and up.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's also the other schools that actually do treat their employees with respect, and they don't screw around like that, and they exist. And you just through social networking, talking to people, and especially if you have friends who've taught out here, they'll tell you exactly like the standards of employment and things that you should get.
So via internet and just the information age, things are pretty safe in terms of finding a job. There's not many things you have to worry about, but do your research. There's all kinds of websites, but more or less you can find everything on Facebook.
Yeah.
If you have a potential job, you want to know more about it, look up the city. And you'll get all the information.
Especially the Changwon area. There's been so many helpful people that are currently living here used to live.
I'm guessing it's like that.
Right.
Whatever city it is, you know what I mean?
But Changwon especially. Changwon's the best.
So speaking of cities, for people that are thinking about possibly coming to Korea or South Korea, with all the different cities and, everywhere is different. What are some of the things that you think would be best for people, like social people looking for
I think it all depends.
Nightlife and all that kind of thing. Obviously, Seoul would be better than
obviously
living in Namhae.
For sure. Especially if you want access to a lot of
to us, a lot of these city names and areas, when you hear them, we understand that. But people who know nothing about Korea and thinking about coming here, and they get this, all right, here's a job in blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And then
it means nothing to them, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The next thing you know, you're in
Masan, and I was like, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. And next thing you know, you're working in some backwoods, or something like, I think it depends on where you, what kind of place you want to live. If you grew up in the countryside, you might want a smaller town. If you're a city boy or city gal, you might want to go for Seoul because it's a big metropolis, and there's a lot of interesting things to do in terms of nightlife.
Maybe you're into a change of pace and you want to do the opposite.
Yeah, or I mean, you might even look for a coastal region, which in that case you'd probably want to go for Busan or the islands in the south.
There's places in Jeju and Goje.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. The most common email that I get actually from people is, I've got this job offer here, and how far is it from downtown and stuff? Say Masan or Changwon. And a lot of them are in Jongyu or what's it called?
Kimhae?
No.
Haman?
No.
Jinhae?
It's I can't think of it off the top of my head.
That's all right.
It's literally not really part of the Changwon city chain.
Right.
It's not Jinhae. It's not Masan. It's way out there.
Yeah. And if you want to get a taxi home after hanging out with your friends,
it's this from O'Brien's or wherever, it's
going to cost you
actually,
$30.
You're not really.
Yeah.
When they're advertising the jobs in Masan or Changwon.
Yeah.
It's not really anywhere near anything. So, but it's a common email that I get. Can't think of the name.
Yeah. So I'd say maybe look at the name of the school. I mean, especially if it's a public school, because then they'll tell you if it's
If you're really interested, you have to put in your research a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
But could be disappointed.
In terms of the area, though, let's say, if you want to really experience Korean culture, what do you think is some of the best areas?
I mean, I love Jinhae.
Masan's pretty old school.
Masan is cool. I mean,
it's industrial, but it's pretty old school. If you really want to see how Korea was in the 70s,
yeah,
in terms of attitude, the way people dress.
Yeah, Masan is old school.
People aren't dolling up to go to Home Plus in Masan.
Yeah.
Compared to that's what they're doing in Changwon.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference between going to Home Plus and Changwon.
And in Masan.
Yeah. People are in their flip-flops and their shorts.
Yeah, Masan's pretty laid back in that regard. I'd say other places like Gyeongju. Gyeongju's pretty old school. Used to be, it was the former capital of Korea.
And then if you're looking for the total opposite, you just want to have fun. A lot of things, a lot of options, a lot of different food choices. Obviously, big cities like Seoul, Busan, Daegu, maybe even.
I've met a lot of great people in Daegu over the years.
Daegu's cool.
Yeah. Got a good.
But places like Seoul, like for me, a big city is the same in every country. Literally, there's no difference other than, okay, the language, but you could pretty much find, say, English in any big city in the world.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new to experience there.
Like, pretty much the bigger the city.
It's great. It would be great having Taco Bell and all these other places, you know, next door.
You call it taco?
Taco Bell?
Taco Bell?
Taco.
Taco Bell?
Taco Bell.
Whatever.
I have a friend that pronounces it taco, but she's a Korean.
Taco Bell. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it would be nice if I wanted this type of food. I literally, you know, if I was living in, say, Itaewon.
Get you some fish tacos because you're allergic to them.
Right. But I just wouldn't want to live in a big city because it's not that experience of that country. You know, I wouldn't want to go to Thailand, live in Bangkok because...
it's not the real experience. It's like the tourist experience, I guess.
Yeah. I'm not a touristy type person. I like to, when I go to a country, I want to get out there and see how things really are.
Yeah. Yeah, keep in mind also, if you look for a job in Seoul, I mean, it's one of the most densely populated cities in the world. So if you don't like big crowds, do not go there. You know?
Not to mention it's on the border of North Korea. I'm not 100% why sure people flock to that place.
Yeah.
It's safe.
It's safe, but if it wasn't for whatever reason did become not safe, this is the wrong place to be.
For sure.
But is there anything people can expect if they decide, let's say they found a job, they got the contact information they needed, they decided to take the job. What can they expect in traveling over here? Obviously, it's a long flight, but it kind of varies from what I've heard. And, you know, let's say this area, people fly into Seoul. Some people have to take a bus down here.
Yeah, usually a night bus.
I absolutely hate. I've only done it once, and I'll never do it again. I usually fly, like, say, if I fly into Incheon. I fly into Incheon. I will never, ever, ever get a connecting flight from Gimpo.
Really? What happened?
It just sucks. You have to take this bus or train over to another airport. I had a bad experience. Like one time I was returning here and again with the deodorant thing, I'd bought somebody or a few people a bunch of different deodorants and some of them were like spray.
Aerosol.
Like Axe.
Oh, they wouldn't let them on the plane?
No, but I came into the country fine.
Yeah.
Got my luggage in what the hell is it called?
Gimpo?
No.
Incheon.
Picked up my luggage. I think I took a bus or a train but when I got there, they made me take it out my bags. They made me take out all my camera batteries.
Oh, really?
I had to ditch those.
Jesus.
I was like, I'm already in the country. Like,
yeah, that sucks.
I went through customs. Everything was fine.
What year was this? Around...
I would say after 2008-ish.
Yeah, it's a painful experience, I guess.
But the most direct route, obviously, is always the best.
Yeah.
Less transfers, less. Odds are, for most people getting a job in South Korea, you're going to fly into Itaewon. Incheon, sorry.
Or Narita.
I keep saying that. Well, I mean, but you're going to fly into Seoul and probably have to take a bus or a train to your final destination.
Yeah.
Like for me, always living in this area, I always end up, whether I fly to Seoul or not, I still fly to Busan or Gimhae and end up, I usually take taxi from Gimhae to here, but all right.
Anything else?
Anything people should expect from their schools?
You should aim for having like a positive work environment, one that's inclusive, respectful. Obviously you're going to have some cultural differences there, but just kind of roll with it. As long as your co-teachers or your co-workers are nice to you and respectful, then you're all good. But if they're rude and
the one thing we've said many times, just come with an open mind.
For sure.
Just because something maybe was the correct way wherever you come from doesn't mean it is here.
Yeah.
Roll with the punches.
All right, so that's things to look out for in terms of finding a job, and is Korea right for you if you're thinking about coming here? If people want to get in contact with us, they can contact the podcast at podcast@changwonner.com. If you want to be a guest or have any questions or anything, just email us there. If you want to get in contact with me, you can contact me at scott@changwonner.com, and Phil
at changwonner.com.
And Adam at changwonner.com.
So once again, for people tuning in the first time, it's kind of I changed the name of the show, so it might be weird for old, long-time listeners. The name of the show now is kpod. And people tuning in for the first time and looking back at old episodes, it was called the Changwonner Podcast. So just keep in mind of the name change, and we look forward to doing our next episode here in South Korea.
All right, that will be it for this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of K-Pod and would like to remind you to please share, like, comment, or leave any kind of feedback you like on iTunes or the website, Facebook, or whatever media you're listening to us on. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast or have anything to promote on the show regarding South Korea, please email us at podcast@changwonner.com or get in contact with us via any social media. Tune in for our next episode, and until then, remember, please share and keep listening to K-Pod to find out more on life in Korea.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in to K-Pod. Stay tuned for our next episode.